Good evening, everyone. I'm Wendell Jones, and welcome to this edition of the program, Jones and Company. On this program, we examine the national issues of the Bahamas, and this has been quite a week in the Parliament of the Bahamas and in the political firmament of the Bahamas. We've had all sorts of news, charges, and counter-charges, and then the Parliament of the Bahamas ostensibly was supposed to be discussing the midterm or the mid-year budget review of the Bahamas, but they spent quite a considerable amount of time talking about Louis Bacon and Peter Nygaard. On our program today, we have a guest who is able to talk about all of the political issues in the country. One of our favorite guests, Mr. Leslie Miller, who is now the chairman of the Water and Sewage Corporation and spent many years as chairman of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation. Prior to that, he's been a minister in the First Christie administration. Mr. Miller, welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir. Happy to be here. Good evening, Bahamas.
Godfrey Enius, nice to see you as usual.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller, you are now in a new portfolio, so to speak, at Water and Sewage.
Yes.
You miss BEC?
Yeah, I miss we intend to go back to BEC at some point in time after the next general election to finish the job that we started. That is our intent. The board that we had, I thought, was by far the best board has ever been. The privilege of serving BEC and the Bahamian people. We did a lot while we were there. We cut the consumers' bill down by over 30%. We were trying to get everything in order. We cut overtime by some $20 million in 3.5 years. But you know, the big boys decided that you need to bring in some foreigners to run the place. We had a plan for BEC that we felt was second to none. We were implementing that plan. We're going to put in a new engine at Clifton and really revitalize and restructure BEC. I just think in some cases those responsible decided that they didn't have the stomach to allow Bahamians to do it, so you had to bring in some foreigners to do it. That's my personal view.
So as a backbencher, you're able to speak out on these issues, and so you are obviously not in favor of the new arrangement at BEC.
It was unnecessary, in my opinion. Totally unnecessary. You just had to make the tough calls. In fact, it's amazing. It was our board that bought Power Secure to this country. We bought them here. And when we tried to do a PPP with the government, Power Secure was our partners as consultants. So it's no big deal. We know Power Secure. And we tried to work in arrangements with them, but only on the consultancy basis that they come and assist us in T&D, that is transmission and distribution. As far as generation, they have very little experience in that area, and we had other people who's going to be involved with us in that area. In fact, we had the financing in place, Bahamians need to know. $750 million we were securing from Citibank and other financial institutions. We were on our way to turning BEC and making it more productive and more effective in the lives of the Bahamian people. But again, as I said, you know, the powers to be decided that you have to go with a foreign entity, and we'll see what happens in the future.
Hasn't Power Secure been sold?
Yes, Power Secure used BEC, in my opinion, to up the shares, up the value of their stocks. As soon as that took place and the deal was cemented, 2 weeks later it was sold to Southern Power. It's a company out of Georgia who has a history in Freeport. They were there in Freeport for a few years. There was Edwardson George, the late Edwardson George, who was a friend of mine. And Mr. Edwardson George said he got rid of them because they were sucking the company dry, taking out all the money, and not really looking at the infrastructure, not really upgrading. But they're back now, so we'll see what happens to BEC.
So, but they now have a management contract with BEC.
That's what I understand.
And they are only going to be paid for performance, or whatever bonus they get would be on the basis of performance, right?
I don't see this company doing anything different from what the former board was doing. We slashed overtime from a $12.8 million to less than $5 million per year. We were doing what we were doing. We were going to put new engines at Clifton, 128 megawatts of power. We had the financing from the Danish Import-Export Bank to do so. And we were getting financing from international institution to enable us to take the load off the back of the Bahamian people, and there was no guarantee from the government. It was set. But again, you know, the big fellas decided that, you know, the Bahamians didn't have the wherewithal to see the future, so you need a foreigner to come in and show you the light, even though I saw the light at the damn end of the tunnel a long time ago.
Yeah, but the board of BEC is still a Bahamian board.
I guess.
It is chaired by...
It's a board with what? You got a banker there. What does this board know anything about BEC? It takes time to know BEC, man. BEC is a very intricate company. This was not my first shot at BEC. I was chairman of BEC under the Honorable Dr. Nottage from 88 to 91. And you have to get to know the players at BEC, know the intricacies of BEC. Is it fair that BEC today has in their account for their pension plan $160 million of our money with the employees not putting a penny? Is it fair that today we are still paying $3 to $5 million for their insurance and they're not paying a penny? Water and sewage is likewise. BEC got $160 million, and water and sewage with 400 employees got $17 million in their account, and they didn't put a penny. They don't pay for no health insurance either. My concern, Mr. Jones, I'm concerned about the people, not a group, a union people. I can care less about them. What about the fellow in Baintown? What about the fellow in the Grove? What about the woman in Camp Road? What about the woman in the city? And my constituents, all the other constituents, is it fair for one group of persons in this country to get it all while the rest of the Bahamians get none? That's what I fight for. Not individual, but the people.
Godfrey?
Mr. Miller,
Yes, sir.
a lot of people who are in agreement with you, the way you handle BEC,
Well, obviously the big boys was it, so.
particularly, and from the public, particularly how you try to rein in the unions.
Yes.
Why is it over the years, the unions, and you say water and sewage and BEC, were able to get these sweet deals? That's what I call
Because
them.
in every instance, they blackmailed the Bahamian people. In every instance, they put gun to our heads. And they said, if you don't give us what we want, we will turn off the lights. This is when I was there in 88, from 88 onwards. It got to the point where they went into the bywoods, from Clifton to Uptown headquarters, and were cutting down poles, destroying equipment belonging to BEC. It's sabotage.
Why you lock
They're
people
allowed
up?
to get, they're allowed to get away because the politician ain't got the guts to face these people head on. That's why their salaries are so outrageous. The salaries at BEC and water and sewage is at least double the salary in the public service. Worse than that, 2 studies were undertaken at BEC for productivity. And both studies from 2 independent places, one out of the United States and one from Europe. And the productivity rate is less than 50%. And they get automatic bonuses, minimum $1,200 a year, up to $3,000–4,000 a year. It was collusion, in my opinion, between management and the union, because management came from the union. And the government, all governments, the PLP and the FNM, never paid no attention to these corporations. They put these managers there and left them there as if they knew all, because each one of them had a degree in engineering. Nothing but damn business. No, nothing but business. They were engineers, and we just let it run and run, and that's why BEC is such a drag on the economy. Water and sewage is even worse. The government pumps in about $44 million a year into water and sewage. They got no money at all. What I find alarming with water and sewage is that water and sewage serve less than 30% of the homeowners in New Providence. We have no customer base. 70% of the water used in New Providence is by well water. And when we did a study and tried to get Bahamians to get onto the system for free, we did a test in Pinewood Gardens. Bahamians refused to do it.
So you need to increase your customer base.
Yes, by at least 50% if you want to be profitable.
Yes.
And you also got to go up on the rates. The rate for water in the Bahamas is exceptionally low. The government isn't going to do it. Election is coming, and you get the same old adage again. We can't afford to do anything. It is not fair to the people of our country that certain politicians in this country never want to make the tough decisions on behalf of the majority. They make it for the few. And I resent that.
Yeah, but you have to,
resent that.
water is an essential.
Yes.
You have to keep water within the reach of the small man.
Yes.
You cannot put it out of the reach
No,
of the small man.
The average
and so there
Bahamian
should
bill-
be a nominal fee for water.
The average Bahamian bill for a 3-bedroom home in New Providence is less than $120 per quarter. It is exceedingly low, Mr. Jones. The light bill is what kills all of us. That's the killer in this whole country. For the hotels, for the consumer, for Rupert Roberts, for all the food stores, it kills you. And we were doing quite well. We could have done a lot better, especially now with the advent of cheap oil. It's around $30. Going to be that way at least for the next year and a half. Of course, this is destroying those producing countries, but it's a hell of a windfall for the countries that the users, like us. And what we had in mind, we went to Venezuela. We went to the producers, and we were going to tie in with a 5 to 10 year contract to enable us to keep that oil at about $30 a barrel. Didn't happen. You needed the foreigners to come in here to tell you what to do. It happened. That's their business.
Yeah. But on water, though, you are losing a whole lot of water, I understand.
Not as much as we used to.
In the ground.
We've done appreciably much more with water than we used to do in the past. It's really on a good wicket now that you're saving the water. The problem is Bahamians have become so used to not using the water. The only reason why they use our water is basically for cleaning and shower. Because everybody uses bottled water to drink. Nobody uses our water. I drink it all the time, and the water is safe. But you got to realize one thing, nor does the Water and Sewage Corporation produce any water that I wasn't aware of. We don't produce no more water. We buy all our water from Consolidated. And to farm the islands, all of our plants are owned by foreigners.
And Consolidated is owned by whom?
By international conglomerate. I think they're on the New York Stock Exchange. Not owned by Bahamians. Bahamians has no shares in that. So the corporation buys and sells.
So
we are the middleman. That's what the corporation is.
And Consolidated is producing water through
Reverse osmosis.
Reverse osmosis.
Yes.
Right here in the Bahamas.
Yes, in New Providence. And they sell to us. We have the infrastructure, the pipes and everything else.
Why couldn't the Water and Sewage Corporation run a reverse osmosis plant?
Because it is cheaper to buy it from Consolidated than for us to do it ourselves.
Why?
Again, maintenance. Same thing with BEC. Maintenance. You got to maintain your machines. You got to maintain these things. The biggest problem we got in this country today is lack of maintenance.
Mr. Miller, there are a number of thoroughfares in New Providence, I'm told, that are in dire need of repair or resurfacing.
You're talking about the streets?
Yes. I'm given to understand that they can't be resurfaced or repaired because water and sewage has to get in there and to correct a number of pipes that are corroded or where there are a huge amount of leakages in the country.
No.
For instance, the Western Road, West Bay Street, from Orange Hill to Love Beach.
Right.
I'm told that the Water and Sewage Corporation needs to get in there. Do you know about that?
I'm not aware of that. I'm sure the Ministry of Works and the Honourable Minister, Philip Brave Davis, would be aware of it. I will make myself aware of it as of tomorrow. But I'm not aware that there's such a problem that you can't resurface a road due to the leakage in certain areas. I'm not aware of that. Now, bear in mind that Cataloni, who took out over $100 million of our money in extra fees and took it to Argentina, they screw up a lot of the lines too because they end up owing BEC as well as Water and Sewage a ton of money before they left here. Okay? Now, they did some shoddy work in those areas too that we had to come behind them and repair.
Are you able to get your money from Catalonia?
Not in this lifetime. They're gone. Like everything else, the foreigner comes in, get what they need to get, and you don't say to anyone. They know because they have another job down the road somewhere. Never see that money again. Not
Mr. Miller.
Yes, sir.
Has there ever been a comprehensive review of the infrastructure of New Providence, for example?
What you're talking about is BEC as well as Water and Sewage?
Yeah, you know, because there are two commodities that the public can't do without.
It's vital to our.
It's essential.
Yes.
It's essential
Yes,
to
yes,
our.
BEC has been doing that on an ongoing basis. On Water and Sewage, that's why the company, I think it's Israeli company, the ones that assist us in putting the new pipes and everything, that's what they are constantly doing. Upgrading, repairing, and replacing. That's an ongoing process that's been going on now for the past several years, and it's still in place today. It's a constant thing. But you know what is interesting? Most of New Providence, and the southern areas of New Providence, don't have any running water, you know. Sunset Park today is without running water. My old constituency.
How is that?
Don't have no water.
Why?
It doesn't have it. Never had it.
It's a subdivision.
Yes.
It's a subdivision,
Yes.
and water is supposed to be.
It's a private subdivision.
But Water and Sewage Corporation didn't have the capacity at that time when Mr. Percy Munnins, God bless him, started that subdivision to enable them to put in the infrastructure. Water and Sewage never had any money. They were always the poorest corporation, even though their salaries is almost on par with BEC again, because the union, listen, we got a situation with Water and Sewage right now. So ridiculous. Before we can go out and get bids to put up new plants, the union has 90 days to put in a bid. You work for the corporation, but you can put in a bid, and we have to wait 90 days before we can go and allow anybody else to bid.
Why?
That's how
why
us and
does
the people are
why does
who
the
signed the
union have to
contract.
put in a bid?
That's what they put in the contract. It's so sick and stupid. You have to give them 90 days. Now, these are people working for you, you know. They working for the corporation that is owned by the Bayman people, and they have a right to put in the bid, and you have to wait 90 days for them. So you hold up all your projects for 3 months, especially in the Family Islands, waiting for them. And
So-
same is happening now, and they took us to court, and they won the damn case.
So water and sewage is competing against the union.
The union is competing against water and sewage.
Yes,
Yes.
same thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's take a break here. This is the Jones and Company, and Mr. Leslie Miller,
Sure.
our guest on the program today. We'll come right back.
So comedy.
Yeah. They have to get 90 days.